Episode 17. This week we cover The Arena. This was a classic episode. It had the Gorn in it. Well, essentially, the Enterprise got a message to go to Traskus 3 from the High Commissioner of Traskus 3. They were excited because they thought he was going to prepare a feast. They beamed down. Traskus 3 had been obliterated. Then there's bombs going off everywhere. One of Kirk's security guys turns bright red for no apparent reason whatsoever and then just vanishes. And then there's a boom. It is possibly the strangest death they've ever had on Star Trek. But eventually Captain Kirk and his landing party get back to the Enterprise, which had warped out of orbit to retreat when the ship that had obliterated Traskus 3 was attacking them. Then he did hot pursuit. He chased the ship. When he was on the verge of getting there, the Metrons stopped both ships, transported both captains to a planet, told them to fight to the death, and then the loser would have his ship destroyed because they didn't like violence. That's how they decided that, apparently. Like, we hate violence, we'll just destroy you. Apparently, after a fight to the death. Oh, Kirk and the Gorn are on the planet. There's a struggle between them. Eventually, the Enterprise gets the Metrons to show them what's happening on the planet on their view screen, but they can't communicate with Kirk. So Spock sees things that could help Kirk. Kirk eventually figures it out, forms a really rudimentary gun, shoots the Gorn, and then doesn't want to hurt the Gorn after he shot him in the face. Diamonds thrown into the Gorn's body from a short distance. He probably would have died from the wounds anyway, but Kirk's like, I don't want to hurt the Gorn. And the Metron said, oh, well, we'll spare everybody. We must have been wrong. And they took off on their way. Not a bad episode, but it was a little odd. A little odd in the logic there of the Metrons. Some interesting notes in this one. Red Alert and the phasers worked very differently in this episode than in most episodes. You had Kirk have to order phasers, then Sulu would have to call down to the phaser room, then the phaser room call somebody else, then that person call back up to Sulu, and then they could fire. Unless Sulu just hit a bunch of random buttons really hard, and then they fired without all that. It was not consistent how they worked. The Red Alert would sound moments before Kirk ordered Red Alert. He called for the phasers to be ready, and then when he did that, all of a sudden the Red Alert goes off. Then he orders something else, then he orders Red Alert. The Red Alert was just on a preemptive alert, apparently. He said, I better start sounding before he gives the order. And I did. He had all the primary characters on this episode. Uhura was there. Her station not only did communications, she was in charge of the scanning, apparently. She was reporting being scanned by the Metrons, which you wouldn't think the communications station would have access to that. That was kind of Spock's realm. But it happened. McCoy was in there being McCoy. You had Mr. Scott telling Spock he already did all the suggestions he gave him to make the ship move. None of them worked because the Metrons had them stopped. We never got an explanation as to how they did that, but they did it. Sulu was there. Navigator of the Week was there. All your regulars. Oh, pretty much. Oh, episode 17.